Howdy, kids. So I think I've got a good analogy for you guys. Let's say you got this couple. Let's say they're in a relationship for a couple years, right? Let's say they, like a lot of relationships do, you know, start off with a bang. Let's say it's going great at first, right? Ecstasy, great sex, right? Both of them swear that they've finally found the perfect someone. Let's say fast forward about 2 or 3 years, okay? Let's say there's a breakup, and after that breakup, let's let some time pass so there can be some somewhat objective analysis, right? If you ask both those people, and they were being fairly honest, a couple years after the breakup, you know, with some distance between everything, do you think they would say it was just as simple as right and wrong, good and evil? If they were being honest, I don't think they would. I think that they would say what many of us do after such a breakup, and a lot of you have been there at some point in your life. I think they'd say it was complicated. I think they'd say it was messy. I think they'd say something like it just wasn't that simple and it's hard to sum up. Right? I'm not going to let this go. Anybody who thinks that the Civil War was just as simple as right and wrong, good versus evil, good guys and the bad guys, has not studied the Civil War enough, and has not taken into account the context of the Civil War, which I think at this point I've covered quite a bit. Gonna read you my favorite quote ever about this war. And I posted it before in a community post, but again, not that many people see my community posts. It's really a small fraction of you guys, so I think it bears reiterating in a video. It's from John Brown Gordon, who just happens to be one of my favorite generals, and just happens to be from the Confederacy. Could have very well, I think, been, you know, have come from someone who was really involved on either side. And I think when John Brown Gordon said these words, a lot of other generals or participants, major participants in the Civil War, would have probably agreed with him. He had this to say: "It will be a glorious day for our country when all the children within its borders shall learn that the 4 years of fratricidal war between the North and South was waged by neither criminal nor unworthy intent, but by both to protect what they conceive to be threatened rights and imperiled liberty. That the issues which divided the nation were born when the Republic was born, and were forever buried in an ocean of fraternal blood. I think that's pretty objective. That statement was made after the war. Like I said, need a little bit of distance, a little bit of time to be able to step back and have some measure of objectivity. Like, to reiterate one part of his quote, which was that these issues, basically paraphrasing, were conceived when the nation was born, when the republic was born. One obvious part of that being slavery. Let us not forget, both the North and the South participated in slavery. I've gone over this quite a bit, and especially in the last couple videos that you've probably seen. Both the North and the South embraced slavery, embraced it wholeheartedly. One side was done with slavery because of industrial progress before the other. Used it and politicized it, as our leaders always do, as a wedge issue to divide a nation. No, I've said this a million times and I'm going to say it again. I definitely do not think that we are on the verge of another civil war to the extent and degree and type that we had in 1861. I do not. But I think this country is nearly as divided now as we were then. It's a very dangerous place to be. And I know there's nothing I can say or do to fight the machinery and the gaggle of propagandists and personalities and politicians. It's just a mountain too high. But I can try. I can try to put a little chink in their armor. And I always will. I hate this. I hate this. I hate being at a point that even reminds me of the Civil War. But we're certainly at a point where I think it should at least bear some resemblance. And it's worth thinking about deeply. Deeper than you ever have before. I really do. Again, it's my whole point in being here at Gettysburg. It's not to live in the past. It's to remind people that history is broken like a clock. And while I know it basically always will be, I will always have a spark of hope that we can change, that we can grow, even in the most minute bit at a time, or even in the smallest amount, every generation, every century, that we can actually learn from history instead of keep repeating it. Pretty foolish of me, I know, but I'll never give up that hope. See you guys.